chat can see and hear us. Welcome to a new show. We're talking skip it or stream it. We're talking movie reviews, movies you can find on Netflix if you're bored at night. And sometimes, like my wife and I, you're like, I don't know what to watch. I don't know. I've seen that. We want to watch Office again. Do we want to watch Parks and Rec again? You're looking for what movies to watch. This is me and Perry and Ryan, and we're going to walk you through 3 movies that maybe you want to add to your watch list. Movies that you might want to have in your watch list. So this is going to be a new show. Hopefully something you can enjoy. I'm going to run through the squad here. And we got first coming out, we got Perry Comics, The Lurker. How you doing, Perry?
I'm doing all right. You know, I'm hanging out on a Sunday night with you guys. Oh, man. Well, my big Perry John, what are you doing to me?
Blow you up to big size, right? And then we got Mr. Fire Guy Ryan. Haven't seen you in a while, man.
It's been a while. I'm all over the place lately.
Sporting that Captain America beard now.
I know. Like, it's my favorite. I'm very fond of the hair that's on my chin.
And the perfect time of year for it, right? The middle of summer.
Right. Exactly. I planned that well.
Full beard.
Mm-hmm. Just go for it. Like, well, here I come.
Now, I haven't put these guys' channels into the description for this video yet because Yardstream I haven't figured out quite how to add all that stuff into the description yet. So I will add it when we are done. But if they drop a comment in the chat at some point, you can click on their names, find their channels, and see all the fun stuff they do. Or in Ryan's case, see how long it's been since he's played Spider-Man on his video game system.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. I used to watch every time I was doing I was cooking in the kitchen or something. I would bust that out and I just watch Ryan play Spider-Man.
It's funny, when I did my lurking stream, I think I went to your channel and I went to like one of your early videos of you playing games, and I sat there for a couple minutes just watching you play on my live stream.
I was amazingly entertained, but then I haven't played like games since like Nintendo. What is the God? Well, 64 was my favorite, but like since old school Nintendo.
Okay.
Heck yeah.
Had me worried there for a minute.
Well, I have a Wii, so I'm not that far off, but I'm pretty far back. Yeah. Let me jump in the chat here and shout out some folks who joined us tonight. Thank you so much for doing so. We got Ben Compton first in the chat, hanging out, tailgating with Perry here and I. Then you got to know, Just a Rican in his comics and Edwin the comic jabroni would make it. I swear the comic triple threat, you guys support each other better than anybody I know. When one of you is on a show, the others are in the chat. I swear every time. Respect. HAQ79, Dave Enrique, Joe4771, Old Wolf, thank you. You're not late. You're right on time. We haven't even officially started the discussion yet. And then Kal-El, 719. Kal-El, welcome, sir. All the way from Krypton. I appreciate that. So this is our new show. Hopefully something we get to drop with you guys every week, every other week. Skip it or stream it. We're going to run through 3 movies. Each of us picked one that was on Netflix streaming that we liked. We forced the other 2 people to watch it, and now we're going to talk about them for you and then give you a chance in the chat, if you've seen those movies, to let us know your thoughts as well. All right? So we have decided, coin toss or however you want to decide it, we have decided to let Perry go first. Let me load the banner for you, buddy, and then start my screen share.
All right.
Nice banner.
Boom.
All right, so
there you go, buddy.
All right. So to get the ball rolling, the first film we got, the first film we're sharing tonight is from 2002. It's Equilibrium. It's a futuristic action film starring Christian Bale as the leader of a police unit that controls emotions for the government. In the future, people have repressed emotions as a way of avoiding violence and hate. Every day, they take their meds and become passive pawns, but some resist. Bale and his team arrest and sentence these criminals to death, but it's slowly eating away at him until by accident, he skips his meds one day and starts a chain of events that could upset the entire country. The film is full of Matrix-style action and leads to some truly original fight sequences.
Nicely done. Whoever wrote that is a genius.
I know, man. He should be a teacher.
Make that a little bit bigger there. Does that work? Okay. So, Perry, what are your thoughts on, why don't you give your review for this movie? This was the movie Perry picked?
Yes.
Why don't you give us some thoughts about this or where you came to this movie?
first time I seen this, my stepbrother actually gave me this movie to watch. He's like, "You need to watch this movie." As soon as it came out on DVD, I seen it and I was like instantly hooked. I was probably like 12 or 13 when I seen this, and the fight sequences, like I just stated, are originally, like you never seen somebody fighting with a katana and then switching to like a pistol to hand combat or fighting in the dark. It's like a ballet of gunfighting, and it's just, I don't know, the fact that this is like a dystopia in the future. You're seeing what the world could be like without any type of emotions, so that way there's no war and only peace. And I don't know, it's pretty entertaining. I like it. Yes, I understand some of the fight scenes are a little bit silly and unrealistic, but it's a movie.
That's accurate.
Yeah, well, John, you're muted, John.
Oh, so you're definitely saying stream it, don't skip it. What would you give it out of 10?
Out of 10, I'd probably give it like a good like a 7, for the fact that it's not incredible, it's not groundbreaking. It does give me hints of like Fahrenheit 451 or something like that. Where it's like they have these pieces of art. You can't have any type of art. Everything's gray. Everything in the world is shades of gray, from down to your clothes to where you live. Even looking at your windows are blocked off, so you can't even enjoy the beauty of the sunrise or the sunset, or even the majestical rain as it comes down. And it's like, I don't know, it's something unique. I think people should watch the movie at least once, just like you should watch Fahrenheit 451 or read the book. Or it's just something that you should have an idea of, like maybe this could happen, who knows. But yeah, I think it has pretty good rewatchability.
Definitely. I will say I saw this film when it came out, I think on video right after the theatrical release. I saw it. I will say it reminds me a lot of like you're saying, some of the themes of Fahrenheit 451. And I was impressed that Perry had heard of Fahrenheit 451 until I remembered they had just done a movie on HBO, and he did not know.
I read the book in high school. They was forced down my gullet,
But yeah, definitely the themes. I will say the action, the only big hit I would give to the film is that it pales into what I think it was trying to mimic a little bit, is The Matrix. And for those that haven't seen The Matrix, I would say that was the film that spawned a lot of stylistic sequels that mixed martial arts and guns and all this cool like slow motion fighting sequence kind of stuff. This does feel like a paler version of The Matrix, but not a bad version. Just like I would say something like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels is sort of a spin-off of Pulp Fiction. Clearly a London crime set versus an LA crime set. Neither one is a bad film, but you can see how a film like Pulp Fiction would inspire sequels or films that are similar. I think The Matrix clearly inspired this film, but not necessarily in a bad way. I would definitely say stream it. I think it's a whole lot of fun. Just the style of it, the photography of it. Mm-hmm. The writer-director is Kurt Wimmer, and he's written a lot of films. He's only directed a couple. The others are called Ultraviolet. It's a movie with Mila Jovovich. No. Have you seen that one?
No, but that fits right into my whole don't watch that movie underworld kind of mentality that I've had for the past entire of my life. He's written
a bunch of movies that were, I would say, like I would say they're one level below like great movies. They've got an idea, they're decent, they're just not great. I think this one's a lot of fun. I'd give it like a 7.5 maybe out of 10, 7 out of 10. I just I don't own it. I own a lot of movies. I don't own this one. I just feel like I would rather watch The Matrix most times probably than this. But I think you should see it at least once just to enjoy it. Ryan?
I would agree about the see it at least once part. For me, I was watching it, and the action parts were my least favorite parts of the movie. I would kind of get turned off when the bullets started flying and the because I was thinking of The Matrix the whole time. Every time any action came on, and it's unfortunate that this movie came out so close. It was like after the first Matrix, but before the Matrix sequels came out.
Exactly, yeah.
In that little window when everything had either a parody of the bullet time or just used some kind of high choreography like this movie did. It really reminded me of 1984 in the way that you had a guy kind of bucking the system and finding a group of like resistance people, and then things happen. We're not spoiling anything.
This is not a spoiler show for people that are worried. If you haven't seen the movies we talk about, we don't want to spoil them. We just want to give you a sense of how we feel about it.
Yeah, it was a really good movie, and I think for me, the parts that drew me in were any time when there wasn't action, which I don't feel like there was a lot of action in this movie either. It seemed pretty clearly spaced out, and the ending really kind of got to me. There was a lot. Most of the action was condensed into the final portions of the movie, and I think in particular the final climax with the evil villain. I think their fight scene was filmed in a way that really jumped out at me, and not in a good way. Unfortunately, the style of gunplay that they used in the movie was cool, but it didn't quite pass my bar for a suspension of disbelief in a way.
Sure,
I liked how it looked. And it was shot really well, and it gave me a lot of creepy Black Mirror vibes too, especially when you were talking about the sunrise and the sunset, when he had to like peel the film off his window and see the real world for the first time. That might be my favorite scene. I really liked that.
It's powerful, and of course the scenes involving the punishments being doled out have a very similar power to them, right? Yeah. Where you're seeing the remorse on bail as people are losing. Sometimes even their lives, but losing all their possessions.
Yeah, I like that, how it's like as the movie progresses, you start seeing little bits of him like gaining his emotion back. One of the parts that I really liked of the movie was when he went into this woman's home and he said, look in the mirror. And he just seen himself for the first time.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that was really, I really like that, It was really cool.
I was a little frustrated with in the beginning of the movie, you get to see his partner, Sean Bean, which was an awesome surprise. I didn't know he was in this movie. You get to see him, and he's keeping his composure. He's kind of hiding the fact that he's not taking the pills or whatever it is. He's feeling emotions, but he's hiding it way better than Christian Bale ever did at any point in the rest of the movie, because I thought that he was being way too obvious about the fact that he was showing feelings when he wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah. I'm going to shout out some comments in the chat real quick. Definitely a lot of people shouting out. They love this movie. They've seen it. They love it right off the bat. HAQ was saying great movie. And then Terry 23 saying, you guys are talking about my favorite movie. And then Terry says, that sword was sharp, John. Okay. And then Aggressively Relaxing says, I love Equilibrium. It's like Rob Liefeld drew it. I love that sentence. There's amazing action, but no one has taken the time to draw anything in the background.
Oh, man.
So Terry says 8.5 out of 10 is a dope movie. He dug it. Let's see. Joe477 says, studios always make copycat films. I agree. I think it's hard. When a movie is successful, you're going to see spin-offs, variations of the theme. And again, some of them are still really good films on their own. I mentioned Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels or Snatch, which are two films that are like British crime films, but you can totally see that Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction inspired them. And I own all those movies. I just can definitely see that without one, you would probably not have the others. Some people talking about
McDonald said he's never MacDonald said he never watched it, and Friday night I thought he watched almost every movie in existence.
Well, this is perfect because, again, I think the point of this show is to help people find cool movies that we like that maybe you'll enjoy as well. So this is a cool one that you can add to your queue for sure. So Bake the Snake says the fight scenes and premise are awesome. Old Wolf says, they're talking about an A-OK. Awesome. My question would be, and it's kind of with the Sean Bean thing here. Do you think, how long do you think Sean Bean was off of his meds? Because obviously we see Christian Bale for just a short time off his meds, but the reaction, he clearly changes instantly almost. How long do you think Sean Bean has been faking it?
I think it's been a while, because he when Christian Bale's going to that place to say, hey, did he log this book into evidence? And he's like, no, he hasn't been here for weeks. And then he went outside and talked to the guard, and the guard said, well, he's been going out every night to go and do work. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's been working for a long time with these people, you know?
Yeah, because I would argue that that's kind of what I dug about the Sean Bean performance, which again is just a small portion of the film at the beginning. Was the way it seemed like he tells a whole story in the words he doesn't say at the beginning of this movie, which is hard for an actor to do, especially in a sci-fi movie where it's all about fighting and sets and things. He does a lot with what little he says.
It's true.
Yep.
I was surprised at how many loopholes there were in their totalitarian system like this. Like you miss one dose of your medication and suddenly you're off, like you're feeling again. Or that they don't have any method to come around and check and ensure that everybody's got their little empty vials or something. Like there's no enforcement, I guess, of they're taking the honor system basically. Like everybody better take their medication so you don't have feelings.
You almost want them to have a device that scans your retina or takes a finger, prick of your finger and like knows, right?
I did like the lie detector plot device, how they used that as a way to determine whether or not people were feeling. I thought that was pretty cool. It would have been cool to see somebody pass the lie detector test, like somebody who was taking the medication and like not have it go off. Like I would like to see that thing work. Because all the times we saw somebody get strapped up to a lie detector were when they were about to, kill everybody.
Manny, the comic collector, says that he was clearly there long enough to fall in love, and that's definitely true. That portion of it. Yeah, Carlito, we are talking about one of your favorite movies, brother. And without you, hey, I try to announce when it's happening. He's saying this is one of his personal faves. He's asking, did we just see this now? And I was saying this came out in 2002 or 2003, and I saw it probably within a year of that. Ryan, was this your first time?
All three of these movies I've just seen this week or in the past couple days.
Awesome.
That's all.
Yeah.
How about you, Perry?
Yeah, I seen this probably as soon as it hit DVD. I was given it and forced to watch it as a child. But to go back to that thing with how long do you think he was on there and with the whole honor system, I think, well, he missed his first medication, and being his wife was taken because she was feeling, his partner was taken because he was feeling, missing that one dose might have triggered something in his mind to be like, maybe there's something more, maybe, and it just kept going, and him having like these withdrawal effects so quickly, maybe that's why he was acting the way he was acting.
Definitely.
And then the whole honor system, it seems like years have passed since they've been not feeling, even their own kid, it looked like their son turned into mother to get killed. Like this kid killed his own mom.
And then Bake the Snake shouted out, how creepy are those kids? Yeah, I think whenever
that kid is so freaking creepy.
Without their emotions and they're not reacting and they're very like stone faced. It's kind of like the little girls in The Shining, right? It's like super freaky.
He dropped that vial on the floor and that kid came in and he's like, what are you going to do about it? Like, I was like, what are you doing? Don't talk to your father like that.
Did anybody else get hints that like the daughter was feeling?
Yeah,
he had the son
of cereal, and the son's like, "Don't stop doing that." Like, I don't know.
Well, and I think doesn't the son say at the end something along the lines of, "Yeah, it's been a while since." The son sort of admits that he and the little sister have been pretending for a long time to be taking their meds. That they've got this act going.
I don't know.
There's a common theme in your movie too, actually, John. There were in this movie and in your movie there were a few plot lines that I was hoping would get explored and branched out and delved into, but that kind of got tossed by the wayside. And I would really have liked to see like a prequel to Equilibrium. I want to see how this world like started. What brought this on? Where did this diverge from our history in the timeline? That would have been cool.
Yeah, I think those kind of post-apocalyptic or dystopian future kind of films, generally you want to have those questions. Like I love, V for Vendetta, or even like, mediocre ones like Demolition Man. There's something about that idea of what would the world be like and how did it end up there, right?
Heck yeah. It's funny because I watched all three of these movies, and they all have something significant in the movie that has to deal with darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Like this opening scene where they go into the dark room and then
A literal darkness.
Literally.
Okay.
And then I guess we'll talk about the rest as we move forward.
But yeah, I mean, like even that moment Ryan says when he peels the little window piece back and the light shines in on him. You know, these are good visual tricks to create a message for the audience. You know, like finally seeing the light kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
All
Well,
right,
if you've ever been in a skyscraper, it's a lot different than because like when you're in New York and you're walking around and you know you see the sun or whatever. But when you're 120 stories up and you look out the window, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a whole new perspective, but you're in the exact same like geological spot. If that's saying that right word,
Geographical, yeah.
Geographical spot. You know, like just being up that high in that altitude, seeing everything from above and seeing the sun. It's gorgeous, man.
Well, and I think a theme, we didn't really intentionally pick these three films to go together. So, you know, I don't think they like perfectly seamlessly go together, but they all have sort of supernatural, sort of science fiction-y themes. But they also have this idea of a change in perspective, a significant change, characters in the lead role specifically going through a huge change in how they see and understand the world. So it's pretty cool, I think. We're going to get to our second film now. So, Ryan, you're going to be up here in a second. Let me do my screen share again.
My turn.
And yes, sir, you are up.
All right. So I almost said I picked Snowpiercer, but I did not. I told my brother that we were doing this project, and he was like, "Cool, you got to watch Snowpiercer." And I kind of went with it. I'm like, okay, like let's just pick it. I could use this as an opportunity to watch a movie that I wouldn't have picked.
And I will say, Perry was very excited that the director of this movie was named Bong Ho.
I was too. That was a nice touch. That's all you need to know, really. It's got Chris Evans, and it's directed by a guy whose name is Bong.
What more?
But really, it's a pretty cool movie about society who's like living on this. I guess it's an enormous train. If you think about it, it's got to be huge. They never get into the size of the train, but it's about society surviving on this train after an attempt to solve global warming goes horribly, horribly wrong. They put this chemical into the atmosphere to try and like cool down the earth, and it works way too good, and it freezes the entire planet, and everybody that's alive is now crammed into this I guess relatively speaking, it's a tiny train compared to the planet Earth.
But certainly it's an epic train compared to what we know, right?
Yes. And the train is kind of organized by class, and it lends itself to an allegorical story structure where you have all of the poor people stuffed into the back end of the train, and the closer you get to the front of the train, the further along you progress up the ladder, so to speak. And the movie is kind of about this revolution, I guess, that starts and finishes by the end of the movie. You get to see what happens when the lower class kind of revolts. And I really liked this movie, actually. I would probably give it a solid 8.5 if I'm feeling generous.
Some people are shouting out other dystopian films like V for Vendetta that they enjoyed, or Children of Men, which is a great movie. If you haven't seen that, I really enjoyed that as well. And then a lot of people loving on the Snowpiercer. Bake the Snake says, yo, Snowpiercer is awesome. Brian McDonald says the exact same thing. Let's see here. Bake the Snake mentions they started a TV series for Snowpiercer. It's also based on a comic. There's a graphic novel I think you can read for the whole thing. Kal-El says it's underrated. Carlito says he thought it was just okay. Some people saying they haven't seen it, but they also say more creepy children. I agree. These are all streaming on Netflix. Yeah. Thanks, Perry, for shouting that out. Okay. Ryan, did you want to say anything more, or should we move over to Perry?
I think I'm good. The rest will kind of come out, I think. The rest of my thoughts.
Okay, Perry, what did you think?
I like the movie. I can't come to grips if I agree with what Captain America was doing. I feel like I get it. You know, you're poor. You're done eating this crap, and you know, like you're done eating this jelly square disgustingness. You're done being a worker. You're done living a grunt life, and you want to just revolt and move forward. but it just backfires.
Don't give things away now.
I'm not trying to. I'm just saying, like let's look at it for what it's worth. He did an oopsie, like.
Well, again, yeah, I would say you mentioned that beforehand, and I said, well, it's a powerful look at revolution, and that revolution is messy, and things don't always work out the way you want it to, one way or the other. It does have a powerful ending. It's ambiguous, but it's certainly dark and heavy.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing the progression of the train. I enjoyed seeing how the feet should be never put on the head.
That shoe on the hat, yeah.
The shoe in the hat, yeah. Seeing how cold it is, seeing how they could have a train go around the world consistently is pretty cool. But yeah, I thought it was a good movie. I definitely recommend people go see it. I'm gonna say it was a good 7.5. I'll probably rewatch it one day. I'm definitely there's a graphic novel. I didn't know about that. I'm totally down to read that.
It's Brandon Stawinski dropping knowledge that I had heard of, but I hadn't actually known that there was a YouTube video. It's that Snowpiercer is an unofficial Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory sequel, and that you've got this eccentric billionaire running this elaborate machine and torturing the lower class that are trying to make it inside to the upper class place inside. I totally see the relationship between the two. I'm sure it's not like intentional, that maybe it was more just the certain themes are very similar, but that's powerful and fantastic. I'm definitely going to look for that video later.
I think a special mention for me needs to be given to the way this film was shot. I really, really, really liked the way it was put together. You were talking earlier, Perry, about darkness.
Yes.
And the scene in this movie, I think that most stood out for me, apart from the shot when you find out how they make the jelly cubes.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was disgusting.
That burned into my brain forever. But the shot of the torches, the fight they had in that so dark
epic
train car with the night vision, that was really beautifully shot. I liked the scene. There's kind of a shootout at the end in this room with like yellow smoke and lights, and it was just filmed really well in that room. The final shots I thought were really well done. The whole movie is based on a train, right? So you've got like it's going on a straight line, and there's no room for kind of deviation. And I think now that you mention it, yeah, his whole revolution was pretty short-sighted, because there's no
there's no end to it.
What are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go? Like, the world is frozen. You can't leave the train, and if the train doesn't continue running, then everyone freezes to death and dies. So, I mean, maybe there's a better way to kind of keep everybody on a little bit more of an equal footing.
Yeah, I definitely think they shouldn't have broken it up into classes. I think if we're all going to live on this train together, we should all have everything spread out equally. Everyone should be assigned different jobs, maybe rotate jobs, and have everyone live a balanced life, because that was the whole message of balance. But there wasn't really balance. It was more like people controlling what's going on and putting people in a position that they didn't want to be in.
Well, what about this as a counterpoint? It was designed as like it is in nature, and nature has apex predators at the top of the pyramid and lots of bottom feeders, lots of herbivores at the bottom, and that they were designing a structure that could not have an equal square shape, but had to be pyramid shaped. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying
they're slaves, John. Let's get real. They're freaking slaves.
I totally agree. I'm saying, but that a structure that survives in an ecosystem has to have a pyramid shape. It can't exist in a perfect sort of square shape. That at some point or another, it's not going to function effectively, especially when you got to take somebody's 5-year-old kid and stick him in a hole.
Yeah. I was worried when they were saying, like, he likes kids.
Yes,
like,
there's lots of great
going?
setups like that, little teases. Sorry, Ryan, did you get a chance to give it a skip it, see it, and a score?
I'll definitely watch it, I'd say. I wouldn't say skip it. It was worth watching, if only if you want to see how well it was filmed. I think there's something to be said for foreign films and non-American films, like made by non-American filmmakers. It gives a different feeling to the images and the way the story progresses, and it's pretty clear here. Even though the cast is mostly people we are used to seeing, and the film is in English, it's not made by an American filmmaker, and it shows.
Definitely. Yes, I did steal my counterpoint from White Whale. He is clearly rubbing off on me. I will definitely say see this as well. I own this movie. I definitely like it a lot. I would probably give it a 9 out of 10. I think like Perry is saying, it's heavy. It's powerful. Big issues being raised here. I also feel like one of the things I like and dislike about it is this feeling that it's kind of like a video game where like you got to beat this boss and get to the next level, and then the next train car is that defeat this villain, and then each stage gets more challenging and more bizarre. And so for me, it felt a little video gamey, which I both liked and disliked at the same time, if that makes sense. But the sequences, like Ryan is saying, very, very cool, very original. The look of the film, the photography, editing, the style of it is really unique. And then the acting, I would say, is across the board top notch. I mean, Chris Evans is the revolutionary leader. You've got Ed Harris as the creepy villain. You got John Hurt as this great mentor character. And then probably my favorite is Tilda Swinton, who is generally odd in everything she does and is perfect here as this kind of mouthpiece to the villain. And I just absolutely love her character and the way she delivers lines, her hair, her teeth, her glasses, just the whole look is spot on.
I don't think I've ever liked her in a movie as much as I have in this. Normally, she's kind of off-putting to me, and I don't really jive with Tilda Swinton in any of the roles I've seen her in. But this was outstanding. This is a really, really good performance for her. I almost didn't even recognize it was her at first when I was watching it. Strangely enough.
So
a lot of prosthetics. So
it seems to be our big discussion point for this one is is this revolution even a good idea?
No.
I would argue, obviously, it has to happen. Clearly, whether you're Ed Harris or whether you're Chris Evans, both the sides of this equation agree that this revolution has to happen. How do you feel about it, Ryan?
It has to happen because, I mean, it's like the teapot thing, you put a bunch of stuff in a compressed space and turn the heat up, and eventually people are going to get angry, and especially if the guns don't have any bullets. There's only so much you can do to keep people down with guns without bullets, especially like that really kind of seals the deal. That revelation.
What about you, Perry? I mean, obviously you had some strong feelings about this revolution.
I thought it was cool how this revolution seemed like it was organic, how it was like these people made this revolution, but it was kind of like the revolution was almost orchestrated. Like they were like, we want this to be as natural as possible, but it needs to be done. And it's like how the tail and the head are like a scale, and they're both balancing things out, but without telling anybody. That makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
I'm not trying to spoil anything. I'm trying to be as spoiler friendly as possible.
Yeah, for those just tuning in, we definitely want this to be spoiler light or spoiler free, because we want to encourage you to either see these movies or run away from them screaming if we get to one that we absolutely hate or something.
I will say one of my favorite parts was that tattoo, the surrender or die. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty awesome, And then that lady just looked at him like, I guess I'm gonna die.
I guess you're gonna die.
Yeah.
I want to shout out some people in the chat that jumped in. Mr. Garrell's in here. He says he's seen the Snowpiercer Wiggly Wonka thing, but he hasn't seen Snowpiercer. And I think all three of us are recommending stream it. Definitely check it out. It's worth your watch for sure. Joe477 says the whole thing is a metaphor for life. And I know that there's several analogies in the film for the train being a living organism that gets fed and has, has working pieces inside like it's living. Let's see here. Tilda Swinton was a standout. I agree. Let's see what else. I thought there were some other ones that. Oh, they're giving away. They're giving away stuff for other movies. Ed Harris is a fantastic actor. I do generally like most of the things I see that he is in for sure. Yes, Stone Cutter Cam. Pump the brakes, brother. Thank you, Caleb, for coming by. Joel the Geek, thank you for coming by. He's an awesome dude, and he's got a sweet Instagram as well that I definitely recommend if you haven't met with Joel the Geek. definitely worth your time. I do hope the TV series of Snowpiercer is good. Do you guys know anything about the TV series they're working on for this?
Nope.
Not a thing.
All right. I want to say that it was a Showtime series, but maybe I'm wrong. If anybody knows anything about it, wants to throw it out there, definitely let us know for that, for sure. And let me set up our next film because I think we are ready.
Best for last.
Maybe. You don't know. For those that don't know, that just joined us, this is Skip It or Stream It. These are my buddies. Let's see, where am I going? Perry Comics right here. Fire Guy Ryan down here. Movie fans. This is a continuation of the education of Perry. We're working on movies right now, my brother. And this is a show that we hope to do more regularly. 3 movies that are streaming that we all watched and we're going to share with you. And if you like these movies, let us know. If you don't like these movies, let us know down below in the comments after this is posted or in the chat right now. And if you've got ideas for other movies we should check out, let us know. And we're going to jump to our 3rd movie now.
I still think we should have called this Netflix and Chill, by the way. My 2 cents.
I was worried that would send the wrong signal, Ryan.
Netflix and Chill with Perry, Ryan, and John.
All right. So now my movie is something of a romantic comedy. So I apologize for people that wanted more sci-fi violence and action. Mine is definitely the more tame film of the 3. But nevertheless, there are some science fiction elements to mine as well. And I really do think it's a great film that you should be watching. I'm going to jump to the epic thing I wrote here. And I apologize that it took me a little while. Okay. So this is the last film. It is from 2013. It's called About Time. It's done by writer-director Richard Curtis. He has done a lot of great films like Love Actually. He's a British filmmaker, so you'll see a lot of his films in Hugh Grant movies, whether you like him or hate him or love him. He's done a lot of those great Hugh Grant movies. My personal favorite is 4 Weddings and a Funeral. It's hilarious, and you definitely should watch it. This film is different from those others, and it fits nicely with the movies we're talking about today because it is a sci-fi film. It has a little sci-fi twist. The story focuses on Tim Lake. He's a young British lawyer who has a simple life with his parents and young sister. However, at the age of 21, his father lets him in on a little secret. Apparently, the men in their family have the ability to travel in time within their own life, within their own past, that is. The main character is Domhnall Gleeson, who you might recognize from Star Wars. He played the evil General Hux in the newer films. And he is sort of a great stand-in for your average guy who, when presented with the ability to move in time, does maybe some of the things that your average man might try to do with this ability. And I find that part of the film specifically to be hilarious, whether he's like fixing awkward encounters with attractive women or helping his friends with their personal problems or simply getting a second chance at a one-night stand, which is amazing. Tim is a classic guy, and all of us watching can either understand because we are a guy or because we are around men enough to know their common traits. For me, though, this film is about a relationship between Tim and his dad. His dad is played by one of my favorite British comedic actors, Bill Nye, not the science guy, but he's a really funny actor. He's in Love Actually as the old rock star. We get to watch Tim and his dad as they grow older and the relationship between them and how they teach one another and how this ability affects their relationship. It's a science fiction, drama, comedy, all kind of rolled together. I know it's not the top movie for anybody's like comic book movie watching list, but I legitimately think this is a masterpiece. It will make you cry. It'll make you cheer. It'll certainly make you laugh. I love every second of it. You should totally stream it. I would give it a 10 out of 10 all the way. And we're going to go to Perry now.
I watched this movie twice in the last 3 days. I think this is an awesome movie. I was not expecting it at all. I was not looking forward to watching this. I sat at my table and cried watching this movie and was pretty ticked off that John made me watch this. But wow, what a great movie with what a great message. I would say this movie makes you think about life and how you should live your day-to-day life, how you should not stress the BS that you normally stress over because it's just not important. At the end of the day, it's just not. and I don't know, I really like it, and it made me want to call my dad. You know,
Hey, if that's what you get out of it, that's phenomenal.
yeah. Hashtag crying with Perry. Yep. So I would probably give this movie I'll probably give it a 10 out of 10, just because I rewatched it within 2 days. I enjoyed rewatching it, and it brought out emotion to me that a movie hasn't done in a very long time.
That's awesome. So that's a stream it from Perry, who I thought for sure was going to be on the fence on this one. So I'm glad that he enjoyed that. And then Fire Guy Ryan.
Damn. I'm feeling the pressure to give it a 10.
You don't have to have any pressure.
Yeah, I'm not going to, but I definitely say stream it, like watch it. But first of all, I feel like I need to mention this. Don't let anybody tell you that Margot Robbie being in this movie means that you need to watch it.
Yes.
That girl comes and goes.
But when she's in there, she's smoking hot.
Yes, that's true. By default, she is. But that is not that should not be interpreted as a selling point for this film. However, Rachel McAdams is far better in my mind, and she is all over this movie, and that is a redeeming factor for me. Yeah, I cried like a little baby at the end of this movie too, and I really didn't want to. And I was texting John the whole time, and
Cursing me.
Yes, screaming, and right at the end it got me, which I was composed up until the end. But yes, it does have that kind of stop and smell the roses kind of theme to it, which I guess is a good message to give, but it doesn't work on me. I'm way too cynical.
You need to redo every day twice.
Apparently I do. Yeah, because I would do what his dad did. If you could relive your whole life, I would just read a bunch of books and then the books again.
Well, I definitely fired up the chat on this one. I got Jack Yo, who's like, never seen it, probably never will. And then Caleb saying, never saw it. I avoid chick flicks unless I'm trying to get some booty. Respect. And then Bake the Snake says, it was a really good flick. I was surprised how much I liked it. Awesome. And then I saw Brian McDonald said, About Time is so good, has a lot of good messages. And then, of course, Comics with Bueller shows up and just screams, Roadhouse, like he's doing every time I talk movies anywhere. Mr. Gale, I have seen all these movies with my wife at one time or another, for sure. She likes a lot of different kinds of movies. I respect her for being able to try lots of different things. This, though, I will say About Time is one of her all-time favorites. Loves this movie. Roadhouse is on Netflix, says Brian McDonald. Romantic comedies killed my love life, said Carlito Classico. Thank you, brother. This movie makes me want to watch Roadhouse, says Joe477. Now they're shouting out Big Trouble, Little China. Roadhouse is a date movie. Die Hard is a date movie. Clearly, I've derailed my entire group. Will it get my wife in the mood, says Big Old Wolf. I think your old wife, your wife.
Brian, just like, no.
Your wife will love you, Old Wolf, for showing that you have taste in great movies and something that makes her cry. I don't know if it's going to make her like romantic with you. That's different. Crying with Perry is a great hashtag. I think we should improve that. Let's see here. Did I miss anybody? I would love to watch this show. I don't know what he's talking about. Yes, Margot Robbie is in it. She has a small role. John crying with guys. Oh my goodness. This is funny. So yet again, I really do like this movie. I think it fits in well in that it's another movie with a sci-fi kind of edge to it, with characters kind of being forced to look at things in a different way. Can I ask, without spoiling the movie, is there a moment time travel wise that you remember most that can you pick one to share that it's not going to totally ruin the movie?
From this movie? Like a time travel?
From About Time. Yeah.
For me, I think the biggest investment I had in the movie was, without spoiling it, there's a sequence near the end where he goes back in time to revisit a moment involving his sister that really kind of made me sit up and watch the movie and go like, okay, cool. Like something's about to, happen. Like he's going to use this ability of his in a different way, in a not just kind of romantic way, but like there's some stakes in this scenario. And the ultimate resolution of this scenario for me was pretty shocking, and I liked that part of this movie. That might have been my favorite use of the time travel.
Yeah, and his relationship with his family is like a huge component, whether it's his wife or the women he's dating before he marries, or whether it's his sister and his parents. I think is a huge part. What about you, Perry? Was there a time travel moment that you were like, oh my gosh, this moment, I like this moment?
Without spoiling anything, I just want to say that, because I feel like if I start talking about a moment, I'm going to start spoiling it. There are restrictions to how he can go back in time, as to once certain events take place, it is ill-advised to go back past that moment in time. And I think the first time you see him try to go back past that moment, it's a very whoa. And it kind of takes place with how during the same scenario that Ryan was talking about.
Yeah, I think it's that same sequence.
Yeah.
I'm impressed because I thought for sure you guys were going to talk about. For me, it's all about like the dating stuff he does at the beginning when he's first playing with time travel. The fact that he could like have a bad experience with a girl and then be like, I can do this. I can do that again. Or he could have a really great experience with a lady, and be like, you know what? I want to do that. I want to do that again. I want to do that again. That kind of stuff, I think, just really slays me. And I thought it was a very clever, as a man, I was like, I would totally legitimately do all of these things.
I did love the visuals of the way the time travel works is he has to be alone in a dark room and he has to clench his fists and he goes back in time. The visual humor, I got a lot of laughs out of me, and especially in the beginning when he's making mistakes in relationship scenarios and he just says, I'll be right back. And he just like runs away. Like I've been in situations like that where the best scenario is just leave.
Right. And you want to just run and hide in the closet, but he's doing it so he can go and fix it, as opposed to like, I can't be here right now.
The nerd side of me, however, was definitely wanting more of an explanation.
Me too. I'm like, how can he go back? How can he go back to a certain date and time that's not really in his timeline to go to a certain place? Like, I was confused with things like that, but I'm like, all right, it's a movie. I'll let it slide.
When he went back, so the scenes with Margot in the beginning, she's coming to stay with his family for the summer, right? And at the end of it, he decides to make a move. It doesn't work. And she says, maybe if you had said something before the last day that I was here, maybe we would have had something. So he goes back to the beginning. Does he have to relive the entire summer every time he goes back? Is he allowed to go forward in time at all? I
think they imply, and I'm probably the only one that's watched this movie a bunch of times. They imply that he can go back and live that one moment and then go back to wherever he was, and everything else since then will be whatever he had done originally. He's just altering that one little moment. And I love Joel the Geek saying, do they follow the Back to the Future time travel theory or the Avengers Endgame time travel theory? I like that we've now labeled these ideas with the movies that correspond with them. I would argue they follow the Endgame Lost perspective that, like,
here we go.
Well, I guess no, and this is definitely more time.
48
Back
minutes
to the future.
and 9 seconds
Back to the future.
Lost.
Yeah. I think that's a record, actually. It's been almost 50 minutes.
No, Friday. It took him an hour and like 15 minutes to mention Lost.
The best part was Harry didn't notice I had mentioned it earlier in the show. He just flew right past him. I mentioned it twice. But I think it's more of a Back to the Future. They can change things. He definitely does change things and then has to deal with ramifications of that. So in that way, yeah, you could definitely say it's more Back to the Future style. So more like Sound of Thunder. I love it. You guys are throwing this stuff out here.
You know his uncle, right? The uncle that he has that has dementia or something. He's got some kind of brain disorder. I was hoping we might see like a Hodor scenario with him or something happening.
Oh wow. Deep cut.
I was imagining this movie going way different directions than it ended up going.
And I could definitely see that as an unexplored avenue where they just sort of let your mind go, like, because it runs in the men side of the family. And I don't know that they tell you specifically if the uncle is from the dad's side of the family or the mom's side of the family.
Mom's brother.
Okay, if it's mom's brother, then that precludes any. I don't remember. I actually don't specifically remember. So thank you, Perry, for nailing that. Groundhog Day. Yeah, I will say Groundhog Day is probably my favorite time travel movie. So respect to Joe 477 on that. Oh, Carlito Classico as well. All right. Let me
It was cool.
swap
Speaking
this.
about the uncle, I really liked how throughout the entire movie they portrayed the uncle as not knowing things that the like, oh, who's the father? Oh, who are you getting married to? Like everything he would say would make you laugh, and then at the end he says, "Well, that was the happiest moment of my life, so this is the worst." And I was like, "Wow, like now this isn't funny," you know, like he was able to drop that seriousness at the end, and it's like it got you hit you in the feels.
I remember when I was watching it yesterday, I was texting you guys and I said that this movie makes me want the equilibrium medicine where I just don't have feeling. Because all these moments are like crashing into you at the end of this movie, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want feelings.
Well, thank you everybody in the chat for hanging out. Hopefully you found at least one movie that you might add to your watch list on Netflix. Like I said, all three of these movies are streaming on Netflix. About Time, Equilibrium, and Snowpiercer are all there. Feel free to check them out. Let us know what you think. If you want to leave a comment on this video, what you think of our show or what you think of those films. We plan on doing this again with 3 other films that you can find streaming somewhere. And if you come by in the chat and let us know what movies you think we should do, or let us know where we should go with this. This is our first time doing it, so I hope you all had a really good time. Want to thank my boys. So Fire Guy Ryan, Perry, let's go with Ryan first. Do you have any shows coming up that we should be aware of, anything going on? If you don't know Fire Guy, he does a lot of cool review shows. My personal favorites are the Infinity Gauntlet run that he finished not too long ago with Comic Tom 101. But you got anything stewing, anything we should watch for?
Our first podcast came out this morning.
What?
That's something.
And it's on iTunes, right?
It's finally like audio stuff. So people who like audio stuff can listen to a podcast if that's what they like to do. I'm a video person, so it's the shorter version is on YouTube also, but there's like 15-20 minutes of audio only stuff at the end.
Well, let's be honest, we're in comics. All of us are visual people probably, right? Deep down.
How do you picture?
Exactly.
And then if you guys don't know Perry Comics, he's over here. He has some great weekly content, dropping edited videos, dropping live streams, looking at what's coming out, doing his picks, doing reviews, and then, of course, trolling and lurking the entire comic community anywhere and any chance he gets. Perry, what do you got coming up, man?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna be doing some videos like I always do. But I've been really enjoying my late night lurking stream where I literally go live and I just find the smallest channels possible that are making YouTube videos, because it's really cool to see like a new person who decides to turn on the camera who maybe doesn't even know about our like YouTube or Instagram comic community, and they're like, man, maybe if I make a video I can meet someone online, because that's how I started. And so I'm going around subbing up a bunch of people, liking a bunch of people. And it's cool because I'll have maybe 5 or 10 or 15 people on my chat, and I could send all those people to these channels. And that way they could come into our community. And I don't know, I think it's really cool. And it's, we're just lurking late night. I mean, I would be doing this anyway. I might as well stream it.
I love it. And I know that Rod, he's doing his community shout out show on Sundays. It's very similar idea that you guys are trying to like highlight all these other great channels that are out there. So I think it's phenomenal. And I always know what videos of mine you're watching, you leave your little green comments. It's got the green Perry and Friends symbol and it's popped up on, I'll see it here. I'll see him reply. I leave a comment on somebody's video and then he's replying to me on that video.
I think it was Thursday, Ryan, you were live with Tom, and I was sitting in my live stream watching you guys.
That's awesome.
So he's got his OBS set up, Ryan, where he's got a tiny picture in the corner of the screen with his face, and then the rest of his screen is other people's YouTube shows, live streams, edited content. He's jumping around. He's talking with his chat. He's leaving comments on these videos live while it's happening. So if you see him jump in saying that he is Inception. He calls it video inception, right? He's inceptioning your video. And it's gotten a layer deeper where every once in a while you get Biggie Shack watching Perry, watching you. And it's like, we're definitely inception.
Or he's watching me, watch him, watch me.
It's just a cool way to build the community, I will say. There's a lot of love and support happening, and I really dig it. So thank you, Perry, for doing that. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Like I said, please leave us a comment however you feel about this show. We hope to do it again. And thank you so much for your continued support.
Love you.